Welcome to another episode of Mustard Seeds. I'm here in beautiful downtown Rockland in the most exotic location that anyone could ever have hoped for, expected. And we're very grateful for this most unusual place where all of the animals have names, but the people don't. They're just the keepers. You don't need to know their names because everybody knows them by now. We've seen them on Facebook, we've seen them on the web, we've seen them on TV, we've seen them in the magazine, we've seen them on Rogers. Oh my goodness, everybody knows about them, and for good reason, because what they're doing is changing a lot of people's worlds. But today we're going to talk about how their world was changed by their dreams when they were at some point in their lives. That's what we're going to find out. So, thank you very much for talking to me. I know that you're doing this way too often, and it must be getting a little bit tedious, but there's always somebody who needs to hear it in a different way. So,
we still enjoy it.
You do? Oh, good. That makes me feel better. So, Mr. Keeper.
Yes.
And Ms. Keeper. I want to know, first of all, at what point in your life did you first have an idea that this was something you were wanting to do with your lives?
Yeah, I feel like it was, my parents would always get us, we'd always have the house dog, and he was always part of the family growing up. And then my brother and sister, they ended up getting some exotic pets when we were very young.
Like the snakes type?
Yeah, my brother had a snake. My sister had an iguana,
okay,
which back then seemed fine. Now I think about it and think it was wild. But no, we started off like that, and it just grew. Where the passion grew for animals, the love for animals, and we grew up through a stage where I felt closer to animals than some people. So
yeah.
The relationship built from there, and felt like we could be the animal whisperers for a while there as at a younger age, and then just grew into it.
Did you set your studies for that interest?
I did not actually. I started when I was 15, working with big cats mostly.
Where?
I worked all over the place.
Oh.
So yeah, I got to travel, which
okay.
I got really lucky. I got to travel and got to do a lot of stuff around the world. With animals, and then it grew into that, and then we ended up at a facility together. So we started working together.
Say the name. Everybody knows.
We worked at Little Ray's. We worked at Little Ray's Reptile Zoo together, and that's where we had initially met. And when I met with Little Ray, he was very, very helpful. He really helped us get on our way as well. And when I interviewed with him, I mentioned that I really wanted to start my own place and wanted to grow on my own. So he wanted to help me and get everything figured out to how we can grow together. So when we did decide to start off with the keepers, he was so helpful, so supportive, and that really definitely helped us morally for sure. Where we didn't feel like we were enemies, we really felt like we were friends.
Oh yeah, it's so wonderful to have a mentor and to have
Absolutely.
a mentee when you're at that level. Now tell me, Ms. Keeper, what brought you to Little Ray's?
So I actually went to school. I'm a surgical vet tech. So I specialize mostly in surgical procedures and exotics. That's what I really loved. And I also did a lot of rehabbing. So I used to live on the Quebec side, where I did a lot of rehabbing for a couple different facilities, where we actually took in orphan, sick, injured animals. We took them in, we hand raised them, and then we sent them back to the wild. I fell in love with that side of it. So when we met at Little Ray's, we kind of had that mutual love for animals, and we each had a different passion that kind of completed each other. So he had the experience with the large cats and the primates. On the other hand, I specialize in North Americans and my birds.
So you have some technical skill that comes in very handy, because there's always something going wrong with animals, and you need to gauge whether it's serious, it'll heal, or you need to bring in the reinforcements. But tell me, up until the point where you first used that scalpel in college, what were you doing? Was there something that was telling you that this was you?
I always loved animals. I always brought the strays home. I always kind of had animals in my family growing up as well. And I mean, I was always doing horseback riding. I was always surrounded by animals, and it was never I never second guessed the fact that I'd be working with animals in the future. Okay. So I did dabble in different things. Nothing seemed to fit as much as it did with animals.
You had to be near animals.
I
You
did.
had to be rescuing them. I think that's the other component,
That's where I
right?
really enjoy it, because I mean, you know it as much as I do, that giving a second chance to an animal makes it all worthwhile.
It's amazing. Yeah, it makes you feel like your day is worth it.
And I mean, when it comes to the rescuing side of things, it really gives a purpose as to why all these animals are here. It's not just out and purchase. They're really here for a reason. It's not the best of reasons most of the time, but animals are in captivity because of humans, so we try and give them the best possible life while they are in captivity. And if they can be re-released, they will be. Unfortunately, for a lot of them, they can't. So we want to make sure that they're comfortable, that they're happy. And if it's not here, where we don't have the space or don't have the resources, then we will find a proper sanctuary that they can go live.
Well, by now you have a lot of contacts around the country, around the world, and I suppose that there's always place for them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we're all in it for the same reason, so a lot of us will help each other out any way we can. So that's a huge advantage to the industry.
So how has being in this, I can't call it a business, it's just
Industry.
not that. Industry, even that sounds
Organization.
in this cocoon in its life. How has it changed you?
Ooh.
Has it changed
Definitely
you?
has. I mean, we've always wanted to help animals, and we've always wanted to be there for animals, but being there for the public, educating, has been huge for us. Really helping the public and helping kids and adults alike just understand wildlife, understand that, you know, we're in their home, they're not in ours. When they're in our backyards, it's actually theirs. So just, you know, leave them alone, leave them be, they'll be okay, right? So really getting that understanding that they're there and we're in their house really has changed a lot of people. And when we get to travel and people tell us that they've changed parts of their lives because of us, it's being the inspiration has been amazing, and being there for all these animals has just been incredible, unexplainable.
You become so much more aware of the environment. I remember being in Banff and walking around in the mountains, and something about plastic bags. It was the first time I heard about it 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Don't leave plastic bags around because the animals eat it. So you become aware.
Absolutely.
Education is key. I mean, we always say that education is key. So as much as we are rescuing and we're making a difference on that side of things, if we're not educating while rescuing, there's no point at the end of the day. So that's why we do so many school programs, museum programs. We travel to educate the public to try and make that little bit of a difference at the end of the day. So if a child goes home and actually remembers one little part of our presentation, we made a difference.
That's a spark. Absolutely.
Yeah, we try and make it very fun and funny so that like you can really connect to the presentations. And again, if, like Jenny said, if they can remember one thing, then we feel like we've done what we're meant to do.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, we throw so much information at them that we hope that one connects, and
Yeah.
it having the animals there and understanding that you're helping this animal here
Yeah.
really makes a big difference as well.
Well, I think Little Ray started doing that and opening so many children's eyes,
Yeah.
and here you are, children of his, really, in a sense. And it's so much more, how should I put it, more sustainable when it's done that way than, for instance, when 1001 Dalmatians came out and every kid wanted a Dalmatian without knowing what it was that was involved.
Yeah, and you see that with like Finding Nemo, right? The little clownfish.
Yeah.
You know, it's they tend to really boast about that, but no. And I mean, he is, Little Ray's has been such an innovator in the industry that it's made the
been
road much
inspiring.
easier for us in that sense, for sure.
So here we are in really Algonquin land. So there's a lot of spiritual power, energy around, and you can't help but wonder if that is an influence in bringing people into this area with nature, trying to bring us back to nature. The reason I'm bringing that up is because I do things in a roundabout way sometimes, is because they talk a lot about spirit animals. Have you learned through the years, as you've gotten to know the animals, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and how they it connects to certain parts of you. For instance, with dogs, it's empathy,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, there's some animals, like I'll use snakes for example, are very instinctual animals, right? So they are a very instinctual animal. So if you've connected with this animal throughout your whole life and throughout her whole life or his whole life, and you go in smelling like a mouse, they're gonna bite, right? So it's very instinctual. But when it comes to connecting with certain animals, then yeah, we each have our animals that we've connected with, and you know, it's
more than others.
Absolutely. We each have our go-to animal that we just have a sweet spot for.
Yeah.
So that is fascinating, because when children come in, or anybody, then you can kind of do an assessment and see what
Exactly.
type of animal would be best for them.
Absolutely. And you
give them a
get
sense.
everybody, or I'll say everybody, the average are petrified of tarantulas,
Yeah.
right? And after an hour of being here, most people will give it a chance to at least give it a high five, or let them walk across your hand, and you really build that connection. You face that fear, and just seeing that happen from when they come in to they don't want to even see one, to when they leave, they've actually held it by the time they left, and they really want to understand every animal, including the ones that they fear, is amazing.
All right, that's a challenge I'm going to have to take up.
We're
As
definitely
you're
gonna do
talking,
it.
I'd rather walk on hot coals, really.
You're going to be able to see how they are very misunderstood. As much as most animals in the world are very misunderstood, and they're very docile, very calm critters that they don't want to hurt you. But people have that fear of them.
Yeah, they don't want to hurt you, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I've never lived in South America, so I can kind of believe that. But
Yeah, yeah.
all right, so how has it changed you? You seem like a tremendous... What strikes me about you is that you're very competent, categorical, but also very in tune with the animals.
I won't lie to you that it's changed us what are you doing? It's changed us a lot in the sense that we've learned how to work as a team a lot more. We've learned how to adjust our educational programs and things like that, but we've grown as a couple, we've grown as business partners, as educators. So in that sense, it's changed us a lot, because when we first started, it was just a dream.
Yeah.
Then it was the whole process of making it happen and quitting our jobs overnight. And thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, aren't you glad they did that? Thank you.
And then after that, it was a whole other level as far as just learning how to cope with the stress and the challenges and everything else. So I think as far as that goes, we've changed quite a bit, because we've learned how to cope with challenges that we never even expected. So we've grown a lot in that sense, I would say.
Bureaucratic challenges.
Every type. Financially, because everybody who's in the animal industry are not in it for the money. You can't be in it for the money.
No.
Animals come first. I mean, we've paid our mortgage before. We've paid for animals' medical care before paying for our
course.
mortgage and things like that. So animals come first, and we've put our whole lives on hold to make this happen. And we're about to hit 3 years, and I mean, we couldn't be more proud of what we've accomplished. And we're still growing and learning, so it's been a big learning curve, and we made our dream happen, so can't complain.
No, definitely not. And neither can anybody else in the community complain. And yet people do. And I'm bringing that up because it's important. In every community, people are supposed to work together and support each other. And yet there are some who will complain, and it's not because they don't understand. It's simply because they want to complain, and I don't think they realize the pain that they're causing you, and as a result, the damage they're causing, the hurt they're causing for the animals, and the whole community that's learning from you. I think that has to be mentioned.
It does, and when we first started, even up till recently, it really did, it would get to us, and we were trying to understand and trying to deal with it. And I mean, in talking to people and talking to my brother, who's become very zen and in tune and everything, we've understood that it isn't us, it is mostly them, and all we have to do is forgive them. And
Yeah.
it's something they're dealing with. We know what we're doing, we know what we are trying to accomplish, and if they want to, and everybody has the right to their own opinion, everybody has the right to their own thoughts, but we are trying to do something good, and we know that, and we're confident about that. So we just gotta let it go, brush it off. And as much as there's a very small percentage of people who are, upset with us being here, there's a much larger percentage that's so happy to have us here.
Oh,
And
definitely.
so
We're trying
we
to
have
stay positive.
we focus on them, and we don't focus on the others.
No, but you still have to deal with them.
We still have to deal with them, but I mean,
Drains
it's-
energy.
It's all part
But
of it.
I love
Yeah.
your attitude, and absolutely that's the only way to do it, and that is part of the learning for you,
Yeah.
too.
And
Yeah.
we've learned in life that you can't please everybody.
No.
Everybody has their own opinion. We can only do so much. So we're going to keep educating. We're going to keep doing what we've set out to do, which is educating the public, rescuing animals, providing medical care, and then finding long-term homes that are more suitable for every animal that comes through our doors. So we know what we do, and we know who we are, and that's all. That's all we can do.
Well, I think that's the other important part about it is that you are, in addition to being educated in certain ways, you've also had to meet certain qualifications, certain
Yes.
requirements. Perhaps mention those because they were probably unexpected a lot when you first started out.
They weren't unexpected. We knew exactly what we needed to do. So we needed some sort of medical background, which I have on my side, so the veterinary technician side of it. And then we had to pass our inspections, which is something that we completely believe in. We think that it keeps people accountable. We think every facility that works with animals should have a very strict inspection.
Oh, yeah.
So we do have quite a few inspections on a yearly basis from the OSPCA, from the Ministry of Natural Resources. BILOC can even come through sometimes. So we kind of play by the book. We have all our exams through OSPCA from the Ministry of Natural Resources, and I mean, we constantly have to keep everybody in the loop and documentations and things like that. And that's not even counting insurance, because whenever you work with exotic animals, the insurance side of it is always a little bit more tricky, but we're fully covered across the board to make sure that everybody who comes through our door is licensed to be here, and we can continue on doing what we do.
All right.
Yeah.
And when we travel and we go through provinces, then that's a whole different permit set and everything. So there's some unexpected stuff that you wouldn't know, and then until something, you get inspected out of province and don't expect it, right? So
No.
there's a whole process to get through and everything like that. So
And you're learning it.
yeah, oh, we know it by
learning
now.
it.
We know it by
You
now.
by now you
Yeah.
know it, and by
Yeah.
now you can teach it to somebody
Exactly,
else.
exactly.
You'll be the coaches. The animals kind of keep you going when you feel like giving up.
We have so many cruelty
never
cases or neglect cases that come through that every time we kind of have one of those days where we kind of think about everything that's gone through or what's going on or the hardships that we're being faced with, we just have to take a look around our facility and know exactly why we're doing what we're doing. So sometimes you just need a little bit of a breather to kind of get yourself centered again, and then you look around and you say, oh, we have all these animals who are here for us, who need our help, and we got to keep going. We can't just stop. So
Well, you have to believe in destiny at that point. Because
Exactly.
as soon as you had the idea, right, like Field of Dreams, they
Yeah.
started coming,
Exactly.
and it hasn't stopped.
Yeah, and we do a lot of presentations for kids, but there's a lot of stuff that I'll say we sugarcoat, right, for the kids. You don't want to hear the whole story, so we've actually started writing a book because we have our children's book, but now we've started writing books for adults, going into detail about the animals that we've rescued and some of their stories. And like when a story starts about an animal, it's like their before, and then at the end you get the after pictures of them. So just to really understand the whole process of what we have to deal with on a fairly regular basis is quite tragic. So we want to get it out there. We want to educate, but we don't want to do it at a child's birthday party where we don't want to traumatize kids either. But for a lot of adults, really want to understand what we do. So we started writing a book for the adults as well to get a better understanding of it.
Well, it is really encouraging when you see online all of the different organizations that are trying to help animals, and it really is this idea that we're here to be their keepers. You're the keepers. We're the little keepers.
everybody makes a difference.
Yeah.
Everybody makes a difference, and it's almost instantaneous, that sense of compassion for an animal that's hurt. Why is it he, she?
He.
Why is he doing this?
It's breeding season.
It's he's trying
He's
to
just
look
showing
beautiful.
off.
All right.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where he got his name, because he sounds like a very high-pitched donkey, so we called him Eeyore. But yeah, like if I was to try and pick him up, he would not act like this at all. So they're very connected to one person, and they stay to that one person. So.
And how did that happen? Did he choose or did you choose? When he came in, did you kind of decide, well, I'm going to look after him?
No.
They choose.
They choose. So he didn't choose me. He actually chose a 14-year-old volunteer the first day he got here. So we have an amazing volunteer. Her name is Catherine. She's been here since the beginning with our volunteer program. And as soon as he saw her, he fell in love. And she's here 2-3 times a week. Sometimes she comes in extra times just to say hi to him, and he's completely in love with her. He tolerates me more than anything, but he will curl right into her neck every time she comes here. He says I love you to her. He's head over heel for this little teenager, so he's definitely her bird, put it that way, but he definitely chews.
And he's changing her life.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. She's changing his too.
Yeah. And how come he hasn't gone home with her?
Because they are flock animals. They need friends, they need to be around other birds, and based on their lifespan alone, not something you should have in your house as a pet. Parrots are one of the biggest issues we face in the industry as far as abandonment or rehoming issues. So parrots live between 40 and 85 years. They're not solitary animals. People typically only buy one. They start plucking, they stress, they need constant attention, and they don't make good pets. They really don't.
Okay.
So he stays here because there's many other parrots that he can actually interact with and keep busy with. And plus she's only 14. She has school, she has other commitments, so not something you keep in your house.
All right.
Yeah.
The issue is videos like this where, there we go. Videos like this where we see Jenny cuddling up with Eeyore, and then
Everybody
you
thinks,
assume
"Oh, I
that-
want one."
Exactly. Social media has done that a lot for some animals, and that's one thing we've been advocating is don't get a bird as a pet. It's just
Do your research.
yeah.
Well, that is the intimidating thing with many of these exotic animals is they live so long. Like many of these animals are going to outlive even you.
Yes, we need to have kids to take over.
Yes. Yes, imagine
We just
poor
hope
kid
they
having
lo-
to live in
we-
this
yeah,
environment.
We hope they love animals.
You can adopt them out if
Yeah,
they don't.
yeah, seriously.
There's a solution for that one.
Trade them up. Trade them up.
So where do you see this going? Have you got some kind of a game plan, or do you prefer to just do it as you've done it so far, as just let's see where things take you?
We have dreams. We have. I mean, this was a dream that turned into a goal, and so I see most of our dreams turning into goals eventually. We had the idea with our children's book to grow it, and ideally we could be able to travel just ourselves and really try and educate the public. And so we want to, eventually get on TV more often, have a little segment, a little show going on. So like different things like that to help educate as much as possible. And so there's that. We want to grow into a much larger facility eventually, and then really have as many rescues as we can and not have to turn away any rescues, really bring in as many as we possibly can and keep rescuing animals.
Yeah.
Keep
And we'd like to open up a larger rehabbing facility as well. Right now we're limited on space, but soon, next time we move to a larger facility, we'd like to have more land where we could actually accommodate more orphan native animals, where we can actually have a larger rehabbing program.
Okay, well, I don't know if you're planning to stay in the region, but definitely there's a lot of land around here.
There.
Yeah, and I grew up in Clarence or Rockland, and I mean, I love it here. I really do,
Yeah,
and
me too.
I would love to stay here.
Yeah.
But I mean, we never know where
Life takes us.
is going to take us. So
No.
we, our eventual goal is to stay here as long as we possibly can. And I mean, we have so much support in the area that it'd be hard to give it all away. But right now, that's our plan, is to find somewhere nearby that we can.
So for the time being, your money goes to cover pretty much the cost of these babies.
Yep.
Because they are babies, aren't they? I mean,
They're like children almost, but I mean, they each have some of them like Eeyore are older than I am, so hard to call them children at that point, but
so money is always an issue, and I guess that's where we're all hoping for the the golden goose somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Who will say, yes, that's
Exactly.
exactly what they're doing, and
Yeah.
that's what they should be doing, and I want to help.
We're
Yes.
hoping we have somebody who supports us and follows us, who just has $1 billion to give away, and
Yes.
just feels like
If you're
putting
out
it. Yeah. that's the dream right there for sure.
Instead of this guy hiding some jewels somewhere in the Rockies,
Exactly.
well, hide it.
Hand it over.
There you go.
go.
I think it's extraordinary. When I see what you're doing, I wish that I were 40 years younger and I could go on that journey. But we all have our own journeys. But I think that the message that you're passing on is, parents, support your kids in their dreams, because this is what it ends up in. There are far too many children out there, I think, who haven't a clue what this world is about and what's important, and the sense of connection that you get with an animal is not a connection that you get with a computer. It's not a connection that you get with some of the angrier music, which brings out an angry part of us, because we are looking for a way to connect with the most beautiful things in nature. And I guess when you're healing others, when you're helping others, you're helping yourself, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, we can't thank our parents enough for the support. And I mean, all of our siblings have just, I'll speak for myself here, like my siblings have gotten so much support throughout the years that it's hard not to thank our parents for being there for us, for sure. And I mean, whatever dreams we had, they helped us.
They were behind.
Oh yeah.
Despite thinking we were crazy, they still helped
Yeah.
us.
And
Kids have to be a little
yeah,
crazy.
letting me travel and letting me go around the world and then work with animals, and really want to incorporate those two together. So they gave me the ability to do that, and then just had to work off their inspiration to become an inspiration ourselves.
Yeah, and so it goes.
Yeah.
And so it goes. See, everybody can do it. And don't be afraid of your dreams, because they're very important little butterflies whispering in your ear. And don't be afraid of the hiccups and the obstacles along the way, because they just make you more zen, more understanding, and learn a little bit of intuition from the animals, I guess. So thank you very much for listening yet again to the story of the keepers. Perhaps you picked up something that you didn't pick up before. I can't imagine that we haven't covered about 360 degrees already. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing more of you. All right?
Absolutely.
Okay. See you next week.